Hey, welcome back. I wanted to talk some more about the reason that I use positive intelligence and mental fitness as the basis for my coaching. And also why it's so successful, I think, not just for all people, but why I utilize it so much with my clients that use an ADHD operating system in their brain. So first of all of our mental fitness program is based on breakthrough original research by Shirzad Chamine, excuse me, a little tongue twister there. And this was a synthesis of recent discoveries across neuroscience, positive psychology, cognitive behavioral psychology, and performance science. And in that research, hundreds of CEOs and their executive teams were interviewed. Stanford students, world-class athletes. There was over 500,000 participants from 50 different countries. And the importance of the 50 different countries is this research wasn't just done on citizens in the United States. So this is looking at the brain and how the brain works across all people, all cultures, across the world, which really brings it down to, the human brain. As much as we like to think that we're unique as humans, our brain is wired physiologically the same as a species. So I found that super, super interesting when I was learning about it myself, just to know that, we have this way of working and operating that's so similar that we can learn about it and utilize it to our advantage. When I was in college and I was studying the brain, there was so little that we knew about the brain. And I remember going into that class thinking, oh my gosh, I'm so excited. Like, this is one of my favorite areas to study. And my professor saying, just get used to the fact that there's going to be a lot of unknowns. And, decades later, the research that we have on the brain and understanding how it works is phenomenal. And the way that I see that it's of value to my clients in coaching, it's just 100 X's or 10 X's their outcomes. So as you can tell, I get really, really excited about this. So in Shirzad's research, he utilized factor analysis. And factor analysis is taking all these 500,000 plus people and distilling down to what the root cause is of why we think negatively and how we think negatively and how we think positively. And it radically simplified the concepts of the positive and negative components of our brain. So if you think about this, if you were to look at the colors, of all the colors in the world, there are so many to choose from, but they all distill down to just 3 primary colors: red, blue, and yellow. And from red, blue, and yellow come all the complexities of colors. So the same in our brains. We have 10 ways of thinking negatively and 5 ways of thinking positively. And those we call our saboteurs, the 10 negative ways of thinking, and our sage, the 5 positive ways of thinking. And in addition to that, the factor analysis showed that there are only 3 core muscles that are at the root of mental fitness. Those muscles are, 1, the saboteur interceptor muscle. So the ability, and when I say muscle, these are neurological components of our brain. So that means the ability to catch and intercept the negative thinking that's in our mind. Then number 2 of the core muscles in our mental fitness is the sage mind. The sage mind is the side that has the 5 positive ways of thinking. So when we learn about those 5 positive ways and how to use them in our problem solving and addressing challenges in our life, it's pretty simple to think that there's just 5 ways that our brain works positively and how to use those. And then the third muscle of our core mental fitness muscles is our self-command. So the self-command is the ability to catch and intercept the saboteurs, switch the brain from thinking in fight or flight into our sage brain, which is big picture, innovation, creative thought, It's where a lot of our self-confidence comes from. And so we just have those three main brain muscles: saboteur, interceptor, sage, self-command. Now from those, I was talking about the saboteurs and the sage powers. So the saboteurs, there's 10 of them. We all have 10 of them, although for some of us, some of those are quieter than others. Generally, there's kind of a top 3 to 5 that we work within in the same, consistently. So for me, my 3 top saboteurs are avoider, the hyperachiever, and the pleaser. And man, they show up to the party all the time. Pretty much most of my negative thought stems from those 3 ways of negative thinking. And then the sage powers, there's 5. And you can use them based on whichever ones seem most necessary to use in the moment. So when you're in the sage mind, you can call up which power seems most important at the time. So those powers are explore. And explore is like looking at something as a little kid would. If you think about walking on the beach and picking up a shell as a little kid and turning it over and noticing if there's a little critter inside and how the sand clings to the shell and all of the colors and the way that the light reflects off the colors when you turn the shell different ways. This is a huge power that we can utilize where we explore outside of the lens of our own reality. So each of us sees the world in a very, through our own lens. And when we explore, we reach outside of that lens to look at different angles about how we can perceive or what the real truths are behind what's going on in front of us. So explore is the first. The second is empathize. And empathize, pretty easy to think about, like empathy for other people. You can think about like, oh, that person maybe just found out that they have an illness or lost a loved one. That's a really easy place for us to find empathy generally, is in somebody else. But the most difficult part is finding empathy for ourselves. And it's something that, honestly, I have yet to find a human being who's really good at that right from the start. It's something that you really have to work and build the capacity to have for yourself. So we've got explore, we have empathy. Next is navigate. And navigate is being able to look at a scenario, look at a situation, look at something that's happening in your life, and really determine what is the most important thing in this situation and what's really not so important. And for that, I do a lot of visualization with people about thinking into their older, wiser self. At the end of your life, if you were to look back and you were to think about this experience that you're going through right now, what really is the most important thing? And what doesn't really matter so much? And once you're able to kind of go through, explore and empathize and navigate, it really gives a clear picture as to the direction you need to go for whatever this challenge is that you're facing. And that brings us to our 4th power. Our 4th power is innovate. The ability to creatively come up with solutions without passing judgment on them. Just brainstorming all kinds of potential ideas that could be a solution to the challenge or problem that you're facing. And then our 5th strength is activate. So activate, we go back to what the root was and navigate what really is important to us. Then we look at innovate and what we came up with as problem-solving solutions, and we choose the ones that we want to utilize and we put them into action. So those are our 5 sage powers. Once you're taught how to do those, and it's why I use this as the basis of my coaching, I teach people how to do this for themselves so that they can coach themselves through life. And then they can come to me when they have a big project that they want to work on, some goals that are going to have some definite saboteurs that trip them up. But for the day-to-day experiences, you're really able to take these tools and integrate them into your life, have better relationships, deeper relationships, better relationship with yourself, and a better understanding of what your needs are and how to express them, better performance, I mean, for myself, with avoider being one of my top saboteurs, avoider is a master procrastinator. I used to always say I worked better under pressure. I have really learned to quiet that voice and work more steadily through the day, rather than requiring or needing pressure to really get me motivated to do something that I just thought was a part of me, and it was pretty remarkable to see that change. So anyways, that's how I use positive intelligence in my coaching. That's why I find it so invaluable. Again, like I said before, I think insight is amazing. You can have a lot of insights into the roots of why you do behaviors, where they come from, the areas that they trip you up, but without the mental fitness behind it, without the ability to carry yourself forward with more positive thought rather than negative thought through all the challenges of your life, then insight will just kind of fall off on the wayside. But with strong mental fitness, you keep building and growing in what you're doing.